October 8th is not just another date on a calendar. It is a spiritual checkpoint, a moment designed to bring clarity, signs, and direction to those who are listening. But many chosen ones risk missing what heaven is trying to reveal because they keep holding on to toxic people, environments, and habits that God has already tried to separate them from. These attachments create noise over a divine frequency, making the message faint when it should be unmistakable. This is why what you do now matters. The days leading up to October 8th are not ordinary time. They are preparation time. This is not about superstition. It's about alignment, a divine checkpoint, a hinge between what has been and what is about to unfold. And yes, you have felt this for weeks, maybe even months. In the silence between responsibilities, in the moments when your thoughts get quieter than usual, there's been a subtle vibration, a spiritual hum that doesn't belong to the ordinary days. That's October 8th calling your name. Tonight I want to talk to you as if we were sitting across from each other in a dimly lit room, the kind where time softens and hearts listen better. No hype, no distant sermon, just one voice to another. Because what's approaching is too delicate to ignore and too important to treat like background noise. You, the one listening, are not here by accident. Chosen ones rarely arrive at messages like this casually. Something call it intuition, divine timing. Synchronicity brought you here. And you know exactly what I mean, even if you can't explain it to anyone else. You've been in a kind of spiritual holding pattern, haven't you? The waiting hasn't been passive. It's been aching. Long nights where your thoughts circle back to questions that seem to have no answers. Days where the world keeps moving, but your soul feels like it's standing in a long corridor, hand pressed against a door that hasn't opened yet. You've had dreams that felt like riddles. You've felt that flicker in your chest when a number, repeated on a clock, or when a song played at the exact second you needed a reminder that you're not forgotten. You've wondered if the silence meant you missed something, if maybe God moved on without telling you, if the signs were for someone else. But deep down, under the weariness, there's still that quiet knowing. Something is being arranged. The truth is, chosen ones often go through seasons where the volume of divine communication turns from obvious to subtle. It's not punishment, it's refinement. God isn't ignoring you. He's teaching you how to hear whispers after you've grown accustomed to shouts. I know that ache of uncertainty, the prayers that seem to hang in the air unanswered. The moments when you wonder if you're still on the path or if you took a wrong turn months ago and didn't notice. But October 8th is part of that story. It's not the end of your waiting, it's a pivot point, a moment where signs become louder again for those who've been paying quiet attention. You might not have realized it yet, but the signs have already started. Chosen ones often receive pre-signs before a major alignment date. These come in forms that are easy to dismiss if you're distracted a number on a receipt. A sudden ring in your ear that lasts 3 seconds longer than usual. A dream so vivid you wake up with your heart racing. Signs aren't always grand gestures. Sometimes God speaks in the rhythm of your daily life. That repeating number you keep seeing, 111, 222, 333, isn't random. It's a tap on the shoulder. That song that seems to follow you into every store, every car ride, isn't just coincidence. That friend you haven't spoken to in years suddenly messaging you with a strangely relevant sentence that's divine orchestration. That moment you walk into a room and feel a shift in the air, even though nothing visible has changed. These are not accidents. They are markers, like divine breadcrumbs laid out on your path to guide you toward what's coming. October 8th is the moment when those breadcrumbs converge into a clear signpost. Think of it this way. Heaven has been speaking in Morse code, and on October 8th, the message completes a sentence. Some of you have experienced ear ringing at odd moments. Not medical tinnitus, not background noise, a single piercing frequency that seems to arrive out of nowhere and just as suddenly fade. Pay attention. For many chosen ones, this is not random. It is often described as a spiritual alert, a tuning of your inner receiver to divine frequency. When this happens around alignment dates like October 8th, it's often the moment God drops a whisper into your consciousness, sometimes not in words, but in knowing. You might not understand it right away, but your spirit heard it. Then there are the dreams. Some nights they've been so vivid that you wake with the taste of the dream still on your tongue. Maybe it was a figure delivering a message. Maybe a doorway appeared. Maybe numbers flashed so clearly you wrote them down in the dark. That is not just your brain processing. For chosen ones, these dreams are often rehearsals of upcoming revelations. Repeating numbers are another layer. Many of you have seen 777, 888, 1010, 144, 333, not once, but repeatedly in ways that defy logic. License plates, timestamps, total amounts. Synchronicities cluster around divine checkpoints, and October 8th is one of them. If this resonates with you, type 777 or 888 in the comments. Not as a gimmick, but as an act of spiritual acknowledgement. It's a way of saying, yes, I see the signs. I'm awake. There's a dangerous lie that whispers during these seasons. God has forgotten you. But the truth is quieter, more demanding of your discernment. Silence isn't absence. It's often divine stillness. In the same way, a teacher grows silent during a test, not because they've abandoned the students, but because everything needed was already given. God sometimes steps back to see what you've learned. During this silence, chosen ones start to develop their inner frequency. You stop relying solely on external validations, and you begin to recognize divine language in the texture of everyday life. That's how you know you're maturing spiritually. You're learning to pick up whispers without needing a thunderstorm to confirm them. And October 8th is like the end of one of those quiet tests. For many, this is the date when the whisper aligns with external confirmation. A sign, a moment, a clear yes from heaven. Now let's talk about why this date matters beyond the calendar. October 8th falls within a shifting seasonal and planetary cycle, where endings and beginnings overlap. It's when the air carries both the harvest of past seeds and the invitation to plant new ones. In spiritual terms, this is an alignment portal. Think of the earth, your spirit, and divine timing like gears in a clock. Most of the year they move separately, occasionally brushing against each other. But on certain dates, the gears lock into perfect alignment. October 8th is one of those lock-in moments. This doesn't mean astrology controls your destiny. It means the timing of heaven is intentional, and the rhythms of the world often mirror it. Chosen ones feel this instinctively. It's why your sleep patterns might have shifted recently. It's why your appetite for distraction has quietly died down. It's why you've been sensing something in the air, even when you couldn't articulate it. For many of you, this year has felt like walking through fog. You've been showing up, praying, trying, but progress has been slow, almost invisible. That's not because nothing is happening. It's because everything is happening beneath the surface. God doesn't build foundations in public. He lays them in silence beneath the ground, where impatience can't sabotage them. And that's exactly what's been happening in your life leading up to October 8th. The odd timing, the delayed plans, the friendships fading without explanation, the sudden urge to declutter your space, your schedule, your inner world. These aren't random quirks, they're spiritual housekeeping before divine alignment. Waiting doesn't mean sitting still in spiritual numbness. It means active patience, aligning your heart, mind, and habits with what you know is coming. Between now and October 8th, your job is simple but powerful. Notice your body's reactions. When something feels heavy, pay attention. When a situation brings peace, lean in. Pray or meditate with sincerity, not performance. Distance yourself from voices that mock your growth or dampen your hope. Write down any repeating signs, numbers, dreams. They're pieces of a bigger puzzle. Speak less, listen more. The frequencies are shifting. This is not about fear. It's about clarity. Toxic distractions act like static over a radio signal. God's voice hasn't stopped, the interference just got louder. October 8th will cut through that noise, but only if you're attuned. Before we close this first block, hear me clearly. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not late to your purpose. The signs have not passed you by. They are building toward convergence. October 8th is a checkpoint, not a finish line. It's the moment many of you will receive clarity that feels like a sudden gust of wind after months of still air. This isn't hype. It's alignment. And you, chosen one, are right on time. If you've felt something stirring in your spirit as you've listened, if numbers have chased you, dreams have spoken, or silence has wrapped itself around your nights, type 777 or 888 in the comments. Let heaven see that you are awake, watching, listening, because the signs are already speaking. And October 8th is closer than it feels. The days leading to October 8th are rarely quiet for chosen ones. Not because God is absent, but because everything that can interfere with your frequency will try to speak at once. It's like the static on a radio growing louder the closer you get to a clear signal. And if you felt heavier recently, if old distractions have started knocking on your door again, this isn't coincidence. This is the critical stretch. Before divine alignment, and what you choose to hold on to now determines how clearly you'll recognize the signs waiting for you. There's a single mistake that has silently blocked divine messages for many chosen ones. Keeping toxic people and environments close when heaven has already started creating distance. And I know that sentence alone might stir emotions in you. Because you've tried to love well. You've tried to be loyal. You've tried to fix what was never yours to fix. You've believed that faithfulness meant enduring everything. But discernment and loyalty are not the same thing. Let's start here. If you carry a marked frequency, a spiritual signature that resonates with higher alignment, you will naturally attract attention. Not just from kindred souls, but from people and energies that sense light and either want to feed on it, control it, or dull it. Some people are drawn to you because your presence calms their chaos. Others are drawn because your light exposes what they'd rather keep hidden. And some, simply because the spiritual realm around them recognizes something on you that they themselves can't name. You've probably noticed this, strangers opening up to you in ways that feel too personal. Certain personalities becoming possessive fast. People testing your boundaries as if they were always meant to be crossed. It's not random. Chosen ones carry an energy that unsettles unhealed parts in others. Toxic individuals, whether consciously or not, often gravitate toward that energy. Some will attempt to anchor themselves to you because proximity to light makes their shadows less noticeable to them. Others will challenge or mock your sensitivity because your existence confronts their complacency. And then there are the spiritual mechanisms that run underneath it all. If you've ever felt like the same kind of draining personality keeps appearing in different faces, understand this. Sometimes what you're dealing with isn't just people, it's patterns. It's the same spiritual interference wearing a new mask. Imagine your life like a finely tuned instrument. God is constantly playing melodies through synchronicities, whispers, and nudges. But toxic attachments act like someone placing their hand on the strings, muffling, bending, sometimes completely muting the sound. When you keep close what heaven is trying to move, interference increases. Confusion replaces clarity after conversations. Peace turns into inexplicable. Anxiety after visits. The signs that once felt obvious suddenly feel distant or muted. You begin to second guess. Dreams that previously felt undeniable. The ringing in your ears that once came like a divine alert now gets drowned in noise. This isn't punishment. It's frequency physics. Spiritual interference thrives where boundaries are unclear. Toxic people often carry unresolved energies, bitterness, envy, spiritual heaviness that clash with your alignment. When you allow that closeness, your inner compass begins to spin. You might even notice this physically. Headaches after long talks, feeling inexplicably tired after meeting someone, sudden doubt when earlier that day you felt sure. Pay attention. This is often your spirit registering interference long before your mind names it. Think back over the past year. How many times has someone resurfaced just when you were on the edge of breakthrough? How often did a conversation that started as catching up leave you spiritually exhausted for days? How many dreams have shifted tone after reconnecting with someone you already sensed was not aligned? It happens in subtle ways. A person who consistently dismisses your spiritual sensitivity, calling it overthinking. Someone who guilts you when you need space to pray or reflect. A friend who only calls when they're in crisis. Draining but never reciprocating. A romantic connection that burns bright but leaves you clouded and doubting after every interaction. Workplace dynamic where your light makes others project their insecurities onto you. These are not coincidences. These are alignment tests. Before divine signs become clear, heaven often allows the interference to reveal itself. And here's the part most people miss. Toxic attachments don't always look evil. Sometimes they look like familiar comfort. Like people who once held genuine roles in your journey, but who now carry frequencies that don't match where God is taking you next. This is the one critical mistake. Refusing to release what heaven has already started separating. When you cling to old alignments out of guilt, fear, or nostalgia, you create spiritual feedback loops that block new signals. It's like trying to tune two radio stations at once. You get garbled noise. October 8th is not random. It's a divine checkpoint designed to deliver clarity, confirmation, and direction. But if your spiritual environment is saturated with interference, you may miss or misinterpret what's being sent. Not because God failed to speak, but because you couldn't hear through the static. This is why, in the days leading up to alignment moments, many chosen ones experience sudden breakups, friendship drift, or an urge to withdraw. It's divine engineering, a filter, not cruelty. Look through scripture, through history, through your own past seasons. God often separates before he reveals. Abraham left his homeland before his vision expanded. Jesus withdrew to lonely places to pray before major miracles. Prophets often spent nights in silence before revelation. For chosen ones, these patterns repeat personally. October 8th is not just a date, it's a mirror moment. Who stands beside you when the mirror is held up matters. Some presences sharpen your hearing, others distort the reflection. Toxic attachments often escalate right before a breakthrough. Old distractions grow louder when the veil thins. This is not a coincidence, it's a spiritual defense mechanism. Darkness does not need to defeat you. It only needs to distract you. This is not a call to arrogance or coldness. It's a call to discernment. God's love does not require you to keep every person close. Sometimes love looks like distance, prayer, and release. Ask yourself gently, who consistently pulls my frequency downward? Which conversations leave me confused instead of clear? Who dismisses my spiritual growth or makes me question what I know I've heard? What environments make me feel spiritually numb? The answers are often already in your heart. As October 8th approaches, heaven is inviting you to create space not out of fear, but out of faith that what's coming deserves your undivided reception. The signs that will unfold on that date are not fragile, but they are finely tuned. Interference blurs them. For many chosen ones, letting go of toxic attachments is not just hard, it feels like betrayal. You care deeply. You want to heal people, not release them. But understand this, chosen ones are not called to be everyone's anchor. You are called to align with God's movement. Toxic people are often drawn to chosen ones because your energy provides temporary stability. But if you stay tethered when God says move, you both remain stuck. Release isn't rejection. It's allowing divine timing to work in both lives. Sometimes, separation is the only language heaven can use to prepare two frequencies for different stations. Here's a simple but profound spiritual mechanism. Where there is unbroken toxic attachment, there is shared spiritual atmosphere. If you stay in an environment God has marked for exit, the spiritual weather around you reflects that place, not your promise. This is why many chosen ones feel sudden spiritual dullness when they return to old circles. The atmosphere doesn't match their current spiritual elevation. It's not about superiority. It's about mismatch. Two frequencies trying to occupy the same space. And October 8th, being a divine checkpoint, magnifies this mismatch like a spotlight. Between now and October 8th, you will likely notice certain people becoming restless around. You old temptations resurfacing, random arguments trying to pull your focus sideways, increased sensitivity in your body, a heaviness after conversations that didn't affect you months ago. This is your discernment sharpening. Don't panic, notice, journal it, pray over it, ask for clarity. If this resonates, type 444 in the comments, not for the algorithm, but as a declaration. I choose clarity over chaos. I align with what heaven is tuning. You are not being punished. You're being prepared. God is not taking people away to leave you empty. He's clearing the signal so that when the signs of October 8th arrive, you won't doubt. You'll recognize, let go of guilt. Let go of nostalgia. Let go of the illusion that holding on harder will fix what heaven is filtering. Release is holy. The interference is real, but so is your discernment. And if you lean into that discernment in these final days, you will find that the whispers you've been missing haven't vanished. They were simply waiting for quiet. The closer October 8th comes, the more the air changes. You can almost feel it if you pause long enough. It is subtle, like the way a room holds its breath before someone speaks. Spiritually, this is the moment where alignment begins to tighten. The gears that were slowly turning in the background of your life begin to lock into place. For chosen ones, these final days before a divine checkpoint are sacred. They are not about waiting passively. They are about preparing with intentional quietness. This is the stretch where heaven tests your ability to remain still inside while the world around you grows loud. Where small distractions try to steal. The hours that were meant to prepare your spirit. Where impatience whispers that nothing is happening. while beneath the surface, everything is converging. If you have felt restless, emotional, or unusually sensitive in these recent nights, understand this clearly. It is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that the spiritual weather is shifting. Preparation is not about perfection. It is about tuning your inner world so that when the divine signal comes through, you recognize it without hesitation. Imagine a radio dial just slightly off frequency. Even if the station is broadcasting clearly, the static will make the message sound distant. These days are about gently moving that dial until the message comes through clean. You prepare by clearing away the inner noise that you know has been lingering. For some, that means stepping away from conversations that always leave you drained. For others, it is about turning down the endless stream of content and letting silence return to your evenings. For others still, it is confronting the quiet fears that hide beneath busyness. Each small act of preparation is like adjusting a piece of the inner instrument that God uses to speak to you. October 8th is approaching like a dawn that has already begun to color the horizon. Whether you see it or not, the sky is already changing. One of the most reliable patterns in spiritual alignment is the clustering of signs. It is not that the universe suddenly starts speaking more. It is that your awareness sharpens. You begin to notice what was always there. The signs that seemed scattered over months begin to line up like constellations. Suddenly the same number appears 3 times in one day. A song follows you to 3 different places. A sentence spoken by a stranger mirrors something you wrote in a private journal. For chosen ones, this is not random. It is a divine rhythm reaching its crescendo. God has been speaking in fragments and whispers. In the days leading up to October 8th, those fragments begin to form sentences. Many will experience moments where reality seems to pause for a second, as if the world wants to make sure you notice something. It can be as simple as walking through a doorway at the exact moment a specific phrase plays on the radio, or waking up at 3:33 again, not once but repeatedly, or sensing an invisible nudge to check a certain page, open a certain message, or revisit a forgotten dream. These clusters are heaven's way of saying, pay attention. It is almost time. During alignment periods, chosen ones often experience intense dreams. These are not ordinary flickers of the subconscious. They are vivid, layered, sometimes disorienting, and often carry spiritual weight. Some dreams come as direct messages, a voice speaking a single phrase that stays with you long after you wake. Others arrive as metaphors, doors, mirrors, oceans, rooms filled with light or shadow. Some bring numbers so clear you feel compelled to write them down in the dark. These dreams are not random. They are part of the divine preparation process. In dreams, the noise of the world is quieted. The veil thins. Your spirit is more receptive. If you have been having dreams that feel intense or unusually memorable in these weeks before October 8th, pay attention. Record them. Even if they do not make sense now, they may unfold their meaning at the appointed time. Some chosen ones have also experienced moments of waking suddenly in the night, accompanied by ear-ringing or a sudden wave of awareness. These moments can feel strange, even unsettling. But for many, they are signals of spiritual downloads, moments when divine messages settle into your spirit below the level of conscious language. Do not dismiss these experiences. Treat them like sacred midnight knocks at the door of your awareness. Preparing for October 8th is not only about spiritual sensitivity. It is also about aligning your physical and emotional rhythms with what heaven is. Preparing to reveal. Spiritual alignment thrives when your body, mind, and spirit move together rather than in separate directions. In practical terms, this might mean changing how you begin or end your day. Instead of starting with the noise of 100 notifications, you begin with silence, gratitude, or prayer. Instead of falling asleep in distraction, you give your mind time to quiet before night. It may mean walking in nature more intentionally, sitting by a window without headphones, or journaling your thoughts instead of suppressing them. These small daily adjustments may seem insignificant, but they are powerful. They create the space through which divine clarity travels. They build the internal atmosphere needed for reception. Some of you are already feeling that pull. You have felt less drawn to crowded spaces lately. You have found yourself craving quiet in ways you cannot fully explain. You have felt a tug to simplify, to reduce, to breathe. This is not isolation. It is positioning. As the date approaches, certain patterns tend to intensify around chosen ones. These can manifest differently for each person, but there are common threads. Repeating numbers showing up in sequences like 888, 444, 1010, 717, or personal numbers tied to your journey, unexpected encounters that deliver meaningful phrases or confirmations. Emotional waves that rise suddenly and pass just as quickly, signaling an energetic clearing, timely interruptions that stop you from going somewhere or saying something, often later revealed as protection, vivid mental impressions that seem to appear from nowhere, urging you to prepare or release something. If you have been noticing patterns like these, do not overanalyze them to exhaustion. Simply acknowledge them. The moment you acknowledge a divine pattern, it often strengthens. The moment you drown it in frantic analysis, it can lose its clarity. Be watchful, not obsessive. Receptive, not restless. October 8th is about clarity, not panic. These signs are not warnings meant to instill fear. They are reminders that you are already part of a larger orchestration. Here are a few grounding actions to consider in these final days before October 8th. Begin and end your day with intentional stillness. This can be prayer, meditation, quiet reflection, or simply sitting in silence and breathing. Keep a small notebook or note app nearby to jot down dreams, numbers, sentences, or moments that stand out. Limit conversations that pull your energy downward or leave you confused. Protect your spiritual atmosphere. Take a walk alone without distractions and notice the sensory details around you. Many signs are hidden in ordinary settings. Speak less and listen more. Often divine communication arrives in the spaces you leave open. These are not rituals to control God. They are invitations for clarity to find a clear landing place. As alignment approaches, many chosen ones wrestle with conflicting emotions. Anticipation mixes with fear. Hope collides with doubt. You might wake up feeling clear and go to bed questioning everything. This is natural. The human heart often trembles before thresholds. If you feel emotional waves rising, do not judge yourself. Sit with them, name them, speak truth over them. Remind yourself that spiritual preparation does not require emotional perfection. It requires honesty and openness. Even tears can be part of alignment. Sometimes the most powerful preparation happens in quiet moments when you admit how tired you are and allow God to meet you there. One of the beautiful aspects of being a chosen one is that your journey, while deeply personal, is not isolated. There are others walking through similar alignments in their own lives. When you comment with repeating numbers, share your experiences, or quietly acknowledge what you have sensed, you become part of a tapestry of witnesses. It is not about hype. It is about resonance. If this message speaks to what you have been feeling, type 9999 in the comments as a declaration of readiness, not for show, but as a way of saying, I am preparing my spirit. I am listening. I am aligning. Every divine checkpoint is less about external fireworks and more about an internal doorway opening. October 8th is not about chasing miracles. It is about positioning yourself so that when the door opens, you walk through without hesitation. That doorway is built in quiet nights, honest prayers, small obediences, and clear boundaries. Some will miss the signs not because God failed to speak, but because they were still entangled in noise when the whisper came. But that is not your story. You are already sensing the call to prepare. That sensing itself is a sign that you are on time. As October 8th draws near, treat each day like part of a sacred countdown. This is not about pressure. It is about reverence. You are standing at the edge of a moment where divine timing, personal growth, and spiritual clarity meet. What you do in these days matters, not because you must force anything, but because heaven responds to prepared hearts.